Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today I have yet two more very peculiar stories, folks. One, bizarre phenomena happens on a blood moon in Belgium, and another story involving these wrinkly old ancient alien beings that were seen by the witness. Let's start off with the first article. Belgium's blood moon eclipse, growls, shadows, and a haunted factory encounter. Let's start off with the opening and then we'll read the full story. On the night of the blood moon lunar eclipse, two friends exploring an abandoned Belgium textile factory heard crushing metal, a chilling growl, and movement in the shadows, yet never saw a soul inside. Was this a trick of acoustics in a desolate building, or did the eclipse veil a darker force stalking them in the night? Let's read the full account now. Good evening, Lon. I'm writing to you from Belgium in Europe. I want to share a disturbing incident that occurred on the evening of the blood moon lunar eclipse on September 7th, 2025. A friend and I were exploring an enormous, completely deserted and abandoned textile factory. During our exploration, we occasionally heard metal objects falling to the ground in some rooms. We thought it might be other urban explorers, but we never heard voices, footsteps, or saw any flashlight beams. Just objects falling to the ground. We left the factory around 2:30 a.m. and smoked a cigarette before heading back to my car, which was parked about 100 meters away. Well, folks, that is very spooky, but was it possible that these guys were just letting their imaginations run away with them? Because here, folks, it sounds like they were in an abandoned factory, so things falling to the ground shouldn't be that strange. But it does seem like there was something going on there that was making all this banging and making this debris, hit the ground. Was it a ghost? Something else? A cryptid, perhaps? We don't know. We can only surmise at the real truth of the matter, folks. But let's read on with the rest of the article, and then we can talk about this a bit more. Suddenly, we heard a muddy growl that lasted for several seconds, consisting of 2 or 3 distinct beats. There was nothing nearby to explain this noise, nothing and no one. My friend then told me she had seen something move quickly in the bushes. It was very dark, so she couldn't identify what it was, but it scared her a lot. We left immediately. After that, I find it a strange coincidence that this happened on the night of the lunar eclipse P. Indeed, folks, it's been noted that, on full moons, or basically on, even eclipses of the moon, that strange phenomena can take place there, folks. Perhaps it has something to do with the moon itself being affected, or basically affecting others in some strange manner. Maybe the fullness of the moon causes people to act more wild, or phenomena to occur, and maybe the same thing happens with the lunar eclipse, perhaps. Maybe something to do with the moon basically, being altered in some fashion causes phenomena just to occur. Either way, folks, what was this growl? Was it a dog man? Maybe some sort of Bigfoot over in Belgium as well, folks? They didn't see anything, really. All they heard was a growl, but the fact that it happened the same night as the full eclipse of the moon, I'm assuming it was a full eclipse, folks. I just think it sounds kind of cool. And they heard all this banging. I'm assuming there is some sort of coincidence, because it feels like that to me. But, folks, that's me just basically, theorizing. So, let's move on to the next article. Pale wrinkled alien encounters Mississippi experiencers lifelong abduction ordeal, and read exactly what this lifelong experiencer had to deal with encountering these ancient, morbid-looking beings. Let's read on and read the opening, and then get to the full story. In December 2016, a Laurel, Mississippi resident awoke in their backyard beneath a massive craft emitting a pulsating hum, an event that left them dizzy and paralyzed, and later inside their home with no memory of how they returned. But as a lifelong abduction experiencers, fleeting glimpses of pale, wrinkled beings and unanswered questions continue to haunt them, one mystery remains. What do these entities truly want, and why do they keep returning? I once lived in Laurel, Mississippi, and a significant incident occurred on December 8th, 2016. I awoke standing in my backyard with a large craft nearly directly over my head. It moved off slowly, emitting a pulsating noise. I felt dizzy and nauseated as it began to move away, and then I blacked out. When I woke up, I was inside my house. So, that sounds like a typical alien abduction story, doesn't it, folks? You see, in these kinds of stories, The witness will see these aliens or the spacecraft, and then they will wake up in a completely different place with no memory of how they got there. Sometimes they even find scars on their bodies. But folks, that is typical for these stories. But let's, hold off any judgments until we read the rest of his account now. Sightings of such crafts are not a big deal to me. I have seen them a few times. However, it is the abductions that concern me. These experiences have been happening to me my whole life, but nobody ever believes me. People treat me as though I'm crazy just because I'm not a cop, preacher, or politician doesn't make my case any less real. Indeed, I agree with this man, folks. But let's continue. Since childhood, these events have been a part of my life. My parents would come into my room to find me sitting up in bed, crying without any apparent reason. They would ask if I had bad dreams, but that wasn't the case. I would awaken with a bizarre feeling in my head. The main thing I remember is the intense pulsating sensation and the sense of paralysis. Now that I'm grown, my fear has diminished considerably, replaced instead by curiosity. What do they want? Why won't they let me meet them? I can imagine how frightening it would be to wake up and see an alien, but I want to understand their intentions. Indeed, folks, I've surmised before that a great many people, and we've heard it from their own mouths, folks, would like to know what these aliens want with them. And on occasion, I guess it could be possible they would like to basically talk to these beings face to face. Indeed, I would love to be there myself to meet an alien as well. Not that I want to basically be abducted, folks. Because that is, and it does sound terrifying. But let's finish off this article, folks, and then we can talk about, as I usually do, folks, these stories we've read today. About 2 years ago, I caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye. I saw what appeared to be an alien figure, but it vanished instantly. I remember it had wrinkled features on its face, stood about 4.5 feet to 5 feet tall, and had pale skin, not green. Its eyes weren't giant and bug-like, but they were larger than usual. I even sent a portion of my journal to MUFON, but they ignored me as well. I wish I could be hypnotized, as so many others have been, because I believe that would reveal the truth of the matter. Honestly, the sighting I mentioned was from a year ago, and I haven't been bothered since then. Yet, that only makes me more anxious as I wait for the next encounter P. P's story is yet another strange encounter, folks. It's sad that no one seems to take him seriously at all. It's good that basically Phantoms and Monsters, where I found his story, folks, did, print it on their website. So basically we get to hear about it in his published account. You should be very glad that people will probably now take him more seriously, at least people who basically experienced the same thing as him, and other people who do believe in this phenomena, folks. I do believe it sounds like P here, is telling the truth. I do hope that maybe he tries to move on again in the future, folks, because I think they will listen to his story. But then again, his is one of several, and maybe at this point, maybe millions of accounts of people being abducted, folks. And you have to ask, can MUFON really help them all? In the long term, and then basically over time, I think yes. Now, what about the first story, folks? We don't know exactly what it was. It could have been anything. It could have been a ghost, a dogman encounter, an encounter with Bigfoot. The fact that it took place in, on the full moon in Belgium is what is really strange here, folks. I mean, I think I've heard of other stories where people encounter weird phenomena in Belgium, but this story, it is certainly a strange one. We don't know exactly what was encountered, folks. It could have been maybe the spirit of some sort of cryptid, perhaps, maybe some sort of elemental entity that was displeased once more with humans trespassing on, its land and territory. It could be, folks, that if you looked into the history of this factory, that several people have encountered weird phenomena going back to the day it was actually built, for all we know, folks. This could basically be the spirit of, for all we know, of some sort of Viking warrior, berserker, some sort of, maybe pagan deity, or even any number of other phenomena could explain it. Until we have more information, we can only theorize. But folks, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics That Are Bad For You. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.